2026 NBA Finals. I'm Malika Andrews, alongside Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins, somebody who knows a thing or two about winning in San Antonio, Danny Green. Gentlemen.
What you got, one?
One here, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
One here and a couple.
No, ain't no shit in that. You got one.
Hey, though, my friends, this is NBA Finals Media Day, and so you're going to hear from Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. I just got back from a one-on-one conversation with Victor Wembanyama that I cannot wait to share with you. But these fans are so excited to be here and for the finals to be back. Danny, you can feel how much basketball is a part of the DNA of this city.
Oh, it's amazing. It means the world to these fans, the people here. You can see the energy. And this heat is so hot, bright, but they love it. And it's bringing back so many great moments, some nostalgia. I'm feeling like, back in that time. So it's a fun time right now. It's exciting.
You're looking like you're right at home. Perk, don't worry. We have a pile of towels for you because it does feel like 109 degrees out. But we said that we have heard from stars from both sides today. Let's begin with Victor Wembanyama.
Falling in love with basketball happened really early on in my life. I have pictures of myself with a basketball at an age where I wasn't even old enough to have memories. Yes, of course, I saw Pop right away when we landed, and the emotion was really something I haven't felt in a while. I don't even know since when. And coming back down from this is a challenge, and it's not done yet. We still need to really come back down to earth and realize that we haven't done the hardest yet. The job isn't done at all. It's a great team of experienced guys who are not here by chance, but by relentless effort over the years, and very different career paths for all of them. So they're right where they're supposed to be, in my opinion. And all of them are going to be super hungry in their own way.
Victor is always incredibly thoughtful. Brian, what do you expect from him in his first NBA Finals?
Well, I got to tell you, I think it was remarkable that he talked about how they're not over the emotions of winning the conference finals yet, which I thought was incredibly honest and incredibly something that they have to deal with. And the thing about Victor is he has experienced tough losses before. I know everybody thinks that he's 19, he comes in when he's 19 years old and that he doesn't have that experience level, but he's had tough defeats before. He lost in the European U19 championships when he was playing for Team France. I'm telling you something, he's still not over that loss, which he fouled out of. Obviously the 2024 Olympics, playing at home in Paris, that defeat is something that affected him on a visceral level. So when he talks about playing with emotion, feeling emotion, he has a deep well there that he's drawing from.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the greatest show on earth. And I'm not talking about an elephant standing on one leg. I'm not talking about a tiger jumping through hoops. I'm talking about Victor Wembanyama. He is the greatest show on earth. He is the future face of the NBA. And yes, he is the Defensive Player of the Year. Speaking of the Defensive Player of the Year, his defense is going to be tested. The most that it's ever been in this postseason, going against an all-time great offense in the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks is one of the greatest offensive teams that we've seen in playoff history. And so it's going to be exciting to see how Wemby and what type of adjustments they're going to make, how they're going to put him in position to be successful, because we know that the blocks, that's one thing. But him just being in the paint and being around and stopping the guards from penetrating to the basket is another. And we know the style that the Knicks like to play. They could mix it up, right? They could go with Karl Anthony Towns at the point center, or they could go back to the big body Brunson play, which we saw against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody's going to bring it home, it's Wemby, right? Because he is very similar to the one great Tim Duncan. And obviously off the court, different type of brand. He's more outspoken with the media. When it comes on the court, that obsession, that drive, that want to be great, they are very similar in how they approach the game. And Timmy brought a championship here. Wemby definitely could do it. He's more modern day big. Some might call him Timmy 2.0.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him that just yet, but he's just a modern version of Tim Duncan. And he has that drive, that mindset, that mental fortitude to be great and raise his teammates up to empower them to win a championship.
You know what I love about this squad? This is not the old version of the San Antonio Spurs. The culture has changed, right? These guys, they're loud about it. They let you know we don't like you. If you don't have Spurs across your chest, we not fooling with you, and we gonna let you know. And it starts with the head of the snake. And I'm not talking about Wemby. I'm talking about that light-skinned guy on the sideline. Because when he get red, I call him an evil genius. He's also bringing a different tenacity to the game, and you could tell in his film rooms that he's coming with a level of aggression that the rest of the guys are following.
Yeah, and really it seems like the San Antonio Spurs team, yes, it's led by Victor Wembanyama, but they've gotten here by collective. And the question has been whether or not maybe their lack of experience, even though they don't like to look at that, whether or not their lack of experience is at some point going to come into play.
I reject it. I
here.
reject the lack of experience thing, which Perk told me months ago, and I give him respect for that. When I watched the Spurs finish off that game in Oklahoma City in the fourth quarter with guys who'd never been in a Game 7 before, hitting shots under pressure, I'm done with it. I don't care about experience anymore. This team can do anything.
Now I will say this, like, a lot of teams are happy when they make it to the finals for the first time. The happy teams get their ass sent home. And I look at the NBA Finals as if you're looking at Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather a lot of times had already won the fight before the fight started. Because when you walk into Vegas, you got the press conference, you got the billboards, you got all this, and it's full of excitement. That's the finals. And I've been in this moment in 2012 with the Oklahoma City Thunder where we were happy to be there. But the other side, the Miami Heat, had just came off of losing the NBA Finals to the Dallas Mavericks, I believe it was, or maybe y'all, in 2011. No, it might have been the Mavericks. It was the Mavericks, at that time, and we were happy to be there, and we got beaten 5.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of people compare this team to the Magic in 1995, Shaq's third year, Victor's third year. Remember what happened there? Shaq openly admitted years later that they beat the Bulls and then they beat the Pacers and they took it easy.
Right.
It's a terrible mistake. I don't get that vibe at all.
Yeah, and that's not what the San Antonio Spurs are saying either. Let's take a listen to Dylan Harper on just the magnitude of this moment.
Never in like 1,000 years you would have told me that my first year in the NBA I'd be playing against the Spurs and going to play Madison Square Garden my rookie year in the finals. Like, I would never, I think you're crazy. But just the reality and possibility that we have as a team, and I think our biggest goal this year, I think we have a chance to do it in a special place.
I mean, we've been making history with every game. It's like we see something new. So, I mean, yeah, we got 4 more to go, and we got this far, but I mean, we still haven't really done anything yet.
We have 4 guys that are under 23, and I think we have 7 guys that are under 26, and we're in a position to win a championship, and that's because of the way that they've handled this process.
All right, so that is what the young guards of the San Antonio Spurs here are saying. But you have been impressed with the resolve, Danny, that you've seen from them through the course of these posts.
I mean, they've grown up. People kind of don't trust their experience. They got through the OKC series. They have experience now. Also that DNA from the organization. But if you look at the clips, these guys were aggressive from the start, and they were attacking. As you see here, they get a stop on defense. They're out and running. Vassell, they got a swing happening. Castle, he's so good at getting to the basket, they have to respect him, right? So Chet, when he's guarding him, has to back up. He's shooting, or Isaiah Hartenstein, mind you, has to back up, give him that space. He's 50% on threes versus centers. He knocks it down, something that he's grown and improved over the season. His next possession is Fox. He gets off this pick and roll. They get a screen. He sees the big in a drop. Jalen Williams in a drop. He gets downhill. Again, another guard so good at getting downhill. They have to respect it. He gets a step back, knock down Alex Caruso, not contestants heavy because he'll give up that 3 from De'Aaron Fox. Next possession, last possession here, is Stephon Castle. They get a little pin down here for Harper. He gets over the top. He gets a screen from Wemby to get downhill, gets a driving kick. They don't have it right away. He drives and kicks, grenade happening, and just Dylan Harper being cold-blooded. ISO one-on-one, step back, knockdown over SGA. Cash Money Records. That's what he's been doing all season. That's how they all have grown throughout the year.
Yeah, and really when you talk to San Antonio, they don't feel like their inexperience here is a weakness. And you're going to hear a little bit more from Victor Wembanyama on that later in the show. But Brian, I think also when you look at the Knicks side of this, the only person who really has experience on this stage, OG Anunoby has technically been here, but he hasn't even played on this.
No, and I think that the Knicks' advantage isn't so much an experience thing, it's a rest thing. At some point in this series, and maybe it happens at the end, maybe it happens at the beginning, the Knicks have played 4 fewer playoff games than the Spurs.
Right.
You just got to figure that's going to happen. And this statistic is very fascinating. In the history of the playoffs, When a team that's swept, playing against a team that has gone 7 games, the team that swept is 20-4. By the way, it was 19-4, and then the Knicks did it last series. So now you can throw all kinds of asterisks on there. You can say, well, the Western Conference this year compared to the Eastern Conference is the same thing. But history tells us that rest difference will make a difference. So the Spurs have to try to make sure that it doesn't become an issue later in the series.
Right, it's just a matter of when it could become more of a factor.
That's what the stats and the history teach us.
Well, we got a lot more to come here on NBA Today, including getting a little bit deeper into the New York. It's been all New York Knicks all season long. Certainly this postseason, they're scoring the most points per game and allowing the fewest points per game entering the finals. The last team to do that was the 1996 Chicago Bulls, and we know how that turned out for them. Jalen Brunson, he spoke earlier today on the heightened stakes in the NBA Finals.
I feel like everything leading up to Game 1 is going to be definitely heightened. Just because of the everything that goes on around it. I think most importantly, when you prepare the right way, when you do everything, you do your routines, you treat it like a normal game, it allows it to be as normal as possible for you. So for me, just trying to make sure that I'm level-headed, making sure I do all the things I need to do. There's been a lot of noise on the outside that we could obviously talk about, complain about, do something about, but we've always just went back into the gym, worked on our game individually, and then when it came to practice, we were focused. When it came to games, we kept getting better and better. And so I think our mentality is in the right place at the right time, and we just got to stay focused and keep learning. Even today, we can't be satisfied just because we're here. We got to continue to keep learning.
Well, certainly the San Antonio faithful and dogs are ready to welcome Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks here as the NBA Finals are set to get started tomorrow. Shams Charania joins us here on the desk, our senior NBA insider. And Shams, usually you're rocking the leather jacket. No leather jacket made.
No, it's not.
He wanted to show off his guns a little bit today. He's been in the weight room.
Look at Malika, though.
I know.
Malika does not care about the weather over here.
I dress for the swag, guys, and I'm paying for it. Trust me, I am sweating up here. But if the New York Knicks want to make San Antonio sweat, Perk, what is it going to come down to?
Listen, I know they have a big fella down here in San Antonio, but guess what? They also have a big fella down there in New York, and his name is Big Body Brunson. And he has been the best player in this postseason in my eyes. And this team got a little tension now. I'll take you back 2 years ago. This Big Body Brunson cooking down here in San Antonio. We had a career high 61 points in an overtime loss. But I want you to look at Wemby reaction. No, you don't get the game ball. I'm throwing it in the stands. Fast forward to this season. Now they're trying to do the drop coverage with Wemby. Great job by Mitchell Robinson setting an early step-up screen. Here you go again, another adjustment. Now all of a sudden you put Wemby on Josh Hart. What do Josh Hart become? The screener. And now Jalen Brunson is coming off for the big-time three-point shot. This is going to be a brawl for it all. Big Body Brunson is not going anywhere. He lived for these moments, and over the past 3 seasons, he has been one of the best playoff performances in the game.
Let's pull on this Let's pull on this thread a little bit here, Brian, because essentially there's a domino effect that you're talking about here. What the New York Knicks are trying to do is pull Victor Wembanyama out of the paint.
Right.
And just one of the ways that they can do that is by Jalen Brunson hitting those pull-up threes, which he's done at an unbelievable clip.
Yeah, so look, obviously Brunson is going to want to try to shoot it over Victor. Now, they invested a ton of capital into Karl Towns because you want to make the center for the other team have to move out. So what will the Spurs do? The Spurs very likely will put Victor Wembanyama on to Josh Hart. This is what teams have been doing strategically.
Cavaliers did that, though. How did it work
Well,
for them?
analytically, Malika, in Game 1, it worked for the Cavs, and Josh Hart ended up getting benched in that game. In Game 2, you may remember Josh Hart dropped that dagger into the Cavs. And so, look, here's the bottom line. Josh Hart is shooting 30% on threes in the postseason. So it strategically will make sense to put Wembanyama on Hart, have him stay near the middle, and defend Brunson as a secondary defender. But several times in this postseason, Josh Hart, who was a 40% three-point shooter, has crushed that strategy. So at the end of the day, Josh Hart has to make Victor Wembanyama pay attention to it.
So earlier today, I asked Victor Wembanyama, what do you think of the idea of sort of sagging off of Josh Hart and being a roamer the way that you were in the regular season? And he said, what do I think of that strategy? I'll have to ask the staff about that. And I said, you're not going to tell me any more about if that's the strategy you're going to employ? He goes, no. And that's all we got from Victor Wembanyama on that, Danny.
Not surprised by it at all. You know, Spurs are very in-house. They're not going to give any secrets, share anything to you. I expect that to happen. So Josh Hart, if he wants to be effective, he's going to have to knock down the threes. But when it comes to the Knicks side, he's talking about big body Brunson. I'm going to look at the other big bodies. And that's Mitchell Robinson and Cat. Like, that was their advantage for them in the regular season against him. That big lineup.
Right.
Hartenstein gave him some, but Victor's a different player now. He's grown a lot, especially going through that series with OKC. So he's seen that matchup before. But that's going to be something that he's going to be challenged with, and we'll see how well he does against it.
But Mitchell Robinson is a question mark here because, Shams, as you reported, he injured his pinky going into this series in that off period that the New York Knicks had since the Eastern Conference Finals. What do we know about his availability for Game 1?
Malik, I'm told that Mitchell Robinson still fully plans, is resolute on playing in Game 1 on Wednesday night against the Spurs. The Knicks still must clear him for that game. What he has is a broken pinky, but even more specifically, damage to his fifth metacarpal. And as we see him right there, no brace, no splint, nothing on that right hand. He's going to need to wear a brace, I'm told, a pretty sizable one, in order to be able to play. But how did this all happen during the Knicks off week? That is the question. The details are murky. What I can say, what I do know, is that Mitchell Robinson hurt himself at his own home. And so, ill-opportune time for an injury, of course.
Well, with that information, that's enough for me. And I know one thing, he better be out there Game 1. Because when you have a non-injury outside, when you have an injury that has nothing to do with you battling between the lines or at practice, damn it, you owe it to your team.
Right.
Because if you don't, it's going to be hell and hot water. Because the Knicks haven't been here in the month of Neverwhere. The month of Neverwhere. Forget 50-something years. The month of Neverwhere. And now you have an opportunity to go and capture. And the bad part about it, I hope he do well.
Yeah.
But in that conference finals, he was playing some outstanding basketball. And I was listening to Mike Breen, Tim Legley, and Richard Jefferson, and they was talking about basically, Lisa Salters reported how he put everything to the side. There was a distraction, and he was solely focused and locked in on the moment at stake and those guys in the locker room.
But you mentioned, Shams, that the metacarpal part of your, that's not this part of your pinky.
What is it called?
It's the bone that essentially attaches the pinky and the wrist.
So you're talking about your hand
Essentially
and his
the
ability.
backside.
You go out there and you do what you do.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The summer's here, Danny Green.
Yeah.
They are.
A lot of love, a lot of excitement.
A lot of excitement here. Even the babies are coming out to celebrate with us. We hope is a 6th title in franchise history. Do you see the little baby says Spurs Diva on her shirt? I love it. It's time now for That Checks Out. It's brought to you by Pays. This season alone, Victor Wembanyama, he's become the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in NBA history. He made first-team All-NBA, and he was 3rd in MVP voting. He was also the Western Conference Finals MVP. Moments ago, I caught up with the Spurs superstar. Victor, here we are. We are in the NBA Finals. And throughout the year, I think there's been so much made of the age of this team. And every single time you've said, you know what? Age, experience, we don't care. And yet, you're the youngest team to make the NBA Finals since 1977.
Really?
What is so special about this group?
What's special about this group? As for any team, the individuals, we got some great individuals, whether it's in the staff or in the team. And I would say the relentlessness and the lack of experience is a strength of us.
What do you mean by strength?
Because we don't know. We can do impossible stuff because we don't know it's impossible.
I like that way of thinking about it. And as much as you talk about the inexperience in some ways of this team, there's experience up and down this organization. And that probably starts with Greg Popovich.
That makes up for it.
What has he told you about this stage?
About the finals, nothing really yet. But he's talked to us all through every game of every series, and he's been our guiding force really through loss and wins.
I think the common sentiment, Victor, in the NBA is be patient. You'll get there eventually, but first you have to go through it before you get to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
You gave me a look like you don't think that that's true.
I agree to be patient, but just to some extent. I think being impatient can be a virtue at times, because all this, you know, they have been impatient. And if you're impatient 10 times, you know, yeah, maybe 9 times you're just gonna be impatient, but maybe that one time it's gonna make you do something that you were not supposed to do, make you play over your level, make you overachieve. And I think that's the difference maker between good and great.
I actually agree with that. I think that that's a necessary ingredient that separates the good from the excellent.
I mean, when has one of the greats been patient or content with falling short?
Do you want to count yourself eventually with those greats?
Of course, it's the goal.
Yeah. But you said after you won the West, I want to win so bad. It's like my life depends on it.
Mm-hmm.
Why has winning become your oxygen? Why do you need to do it now?
I don't know the why. Some things I just can't explain. But really, my whole life revolves around basketball, and it has for years and years, so it makes sense.
You're coming off a grueling 7-game series where you had to knock off, punch out the defending champions. I know this is a different team, but how does that prepare you for the NBA Finals and the Knicks?
I think playing the defending champs is the best preparation you can get. OKC is probably the team that is the most confident and the strongest in its identity, and that pushes you to really to the extent of what you can do in terms of preparation and execution.
They're most confident in their identity.
Yeah.
Does that strengthen your identity as a group?
Yes, going through a 7-game series definitely strengthens our identity and proves that we have a strong identity, because you can't win a 7-game series against the defending champs by random chance.
Yeah, it's not by accident.
No.
So give me your first impressions of the New York Knicks, because this is a very different Knicks team than we saw in the regular season.
Absolutely. I mean, they're much better. They're much better than they've been. And it's a team of experienced guys. I don't think any of them has played in the finals. This team of guys, I know Anunoby was on the Toronto team, but I think he was hurt in the finals. It's a team of guys that have been trying and willing and sacrificing a lot to try to get to the finals over years. And now they're here, and they're not gonna make it anything easy.
Neither are you.
No.
That's what's going to make this an excellent series. I want to ask you a tactical question, if I could. In the regular season, we saw you sort of playing the roaming off of Josh Hart role a little bit here. The Cavaliers tried that in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Josh Hart made them pay. What do you think of that strategy now?
What I think of that strategy now, I think teams anticipate a lot. And I think my staff is on top of things.
You said, I'm going to put in a call and I'm going to do a little bit. Anything else that you can tell me?
No.
I will accept that. Let's go back to something interesting you said, Victor.
Yeah.
We were talking about the greats and how greats aren't patient. And you and I, when we last spoke in December, you told me that the advice that stuck with you the most from Hakeem Olajuwon was, if you are good enough, you don't have to wait to win. How does that resonate with you differently now that we are about to begin the NBA Finals?
Kind of grew in my mind, because the truth is such a simple advice, but sometimes you don't have to overthink it. If we're really like this, let's win now.
Who do you want to win for?
My first answer would be myself. I think it doesn't get more complicated than that.
There's been so much made. I think we like to make a lot of. You go to the Shaolin Temple. You work out with Hakeem Olajuwon. We see these videos of you doing these underwater nautical workouts.
Yeah. I don't know how that came out.
Now that you're here, what if that has actually given you an edge? Do we over-assign that?
By we, what do you mean? The media? The public? Maybe a little bit. Because it's not like I totally transformed into a whole nother person over the summer. It's it was just one more step. Last summer I did what I needed to do, for sure. And that was a great summer. I don't regret doing or not doing anything, really. It was great. But what we see from everybody, not just me, it's the combination of years of work. It's not just one summer that's gonna be a huge, total difference maker.
It's the day before the NBA Finals. This has been something that you have envisioned since you were a little kid. You like to close your eyes and practice visualization. How far ahead do you let yourself visualize, and what is this feeling now?
In these playoffs, the furthest ahead I've visualized was 2 games and the next series. But 2 games very precisely, and even the off day in between, and then the next series a little bit less precisely because it's so far ahead.
So you can't let yourself look at that trophy quite yet?
No, it's not there yet. We don't have it yet. We haven't done the hardest yet.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
So that was usually you're seeing the sort of souped up, edited versions, right, with Victor Wembanyama in our conversations. That was completely unedited, exactly the way that our conversation took place. I wondered, I should have asked him if he envisioned himself up 2-0 then, if he's looking 2 games ahead, right? But Brian, I don't know what stood out to you, but for me, when he said that it is required of the greats to say, I'm going to be brash, essentially, that 9 times out of 10 it may not work, but on the 10th time it will.
He has embraced that. Yeah, I seriously, when he was 13, he talked about visualization 2 games in advance. That's not true. He was visualizing this when he was 13. When he was 13, he's like, this is what I want to be. And he said something, my favorite thing he said there was that impatience can be a virtue.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying is, don't talk to me about what I'm supposed to wait for. I want it today. And that's the way he's approached his entire career. That's the way he's going to approach this series.
Yeah, and certainly also when he said that this group, what makes it impossible if we don't know what is impossible?
I mean, that whole interview, like, I like to consider myself a mature young person at 22. But he's unbelievable.
I thought you were
I'm glad you did, because he did.
I was not doing this.
Distinguished and polished.
He was looking like he's very mature, and the fact that, you know, is going to take steps. They're going through it right now. And like I said, impatience can be a virtue. He's not trying to wait. He doesn't care about any of those things. But his summer, I'm looking at how he's attacking it, and he said, I liked everything that I did this summer. I'm just blown away about what's to come. Because, like, he's not satisfied, and he's like, he's going to continue to grow and get better. Each summer he's going to go back to the monks, maybe do the pool workouts. But that maturity right there, it shows me so much about him and his character and this organization, what they've done for him. And this is the right spot for him. So I love what they're doing. I love what he's doing. He's a leader at this young age in his career, only year 3, and being probably the best leader on the floor in this series is a big statement. So if he continues this young group has a lot of years ahead of success.
You know, Wemby and I relate.
Do you?
Yeah, we relate because no, we don't look alike, but we relate mentality-wise because I'm a guy that I envy and I'm jealous of people that's greater than me because I want their greatness. Wemby wants greatness, so when he sees someone that's ahead of him that has accomplished more than him, he envies them, and that's okay in the game of basketball. For example, James Posey was on our team in 2008. He was the only champion outside of Sam Cassell. But every game day on the road, he used to wear this suit and that damn championship ring with Miami. And he used to make sure he wore it on the outside hand so when you walk by, you could see it. And it used to piss everybody off. And I went up to him one day, Posey, and I was like, damn, bro, like, why you got to throw it in our face? He was like, well, go win one. And I said, you know, right? That's real. And I get that from Wemby. Like, he don't care. He's chasing greatness. He want to be greater than Tim Duncan. He wanted SGA. That's why we saw the emotions, because he wanted to knock him off. He wanted to let him know, no, I'm going to get what you had last year. And I wish everybody would have that type of mentality.
Really, and Mike Tirico nailed it when he said it's Wemby's West. The only question is whether or not it's Wemby's NBA, and that is what's going to be known at the Alamo. And here the Knicks are just moments ago at practice, breaking the huddle. Let's take a listen to Karl-Anthony Towns and Josh Hart on being in their first NBA Finals.
It means a lot, you know, because from my career, I've only been able to see that Finals logo on TV. So it means a lot to be the person that sees the logo on their jersey and has this opportunity. So the word grateful is all I could say.
There was moments I went home and I'm like, damn, you know, am I ass? Like, do I suck as a basketball player? You know, there's a lot of those moments. You know, whenever your minutes go down or you get benched, you know, you have those that thought process. Now I'm cool with it sometimes. I mean, there was game 1 I got benched, you know, and Lane was out there hooping, and I was happy about it.
So that, I appreciate the honesty and the colorful nature and the bubbles from the fans, but I was talking about from Josh Hart and his assessment there. But this begs an interesting question.
Good word, assessment.
Assessment?
There you go.
Well,
For that tape.
yes, he was talking about maybe his assessment was not as good at sometimes as
My assessment?
he thought it could be. Why am I a 5-year-old boy? Ryan, when we're looking at the biggest strategy decisions, this is really an interesting question here. I think the single biggest question here is who defends Karl Anthony Towns and what does the trickle-down effect end up being? What say you?
Okay, so remember, there's 2 different types of Karl Towns. You have Karl Towns, the big man. You have Karl Towns, the point center.
The hub.
And so that may affect it, but I would expect Devin Vassell to be an early option. They could also use Steph Castle, but Castle, I think, is going to be
Brunson.
On to Brunson, right? So what you're looking for there is you want Wemby to be the support defender, but I like how our colleague Aman Shumpert calls what Karl Towns does the cat scan, where he gets the ball, holds it way up in the air, and looks for a place to go. That's the way they do it. Well, you can take away those passing angles if you were to put 7'5" guy on him. So that's an antidote that they can go to, for sure.
But then there becomes a trickle-down effect from there, right? Because if you're looking at that with Karl Anthony Towns and potentially, I agree, Vassell and then Wemby helping a little bit, I know you had questions about if they're going to double-team Jalen Brunson in the same ways that we saw on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or are they going to go for the gaps and what the effect is there?
I'd assume they do a mix of both. You can't give any superstar a steady diet of one thing. They're going to double him some. They're going to be in gaps some, especially with the weapons he has around him with OG and way Mikal Bridges is knocking down shots, and then Landry Shamet, of course, off the bench. So they can't just double him all game. But I imagine they will mix up Wemby on Cat as well. They'll have Vassell on him some. They might have Champagne on him some. They might have Fox. They'll switch, especially when he's on the perimeter. When he's on the perimeter, he'll be able to pass, but those guards can get up into him, so he won't be able to shoot the 3 as much. But if he goes down to that post, which is going to be a mismatch for those guards because Cat has a different mentality than Chet, they're going to have to put Wemby on him. He's going to have to switch. He's going to have to stay at the rim. But when the big comes down, whether it's Mitchell Robinson or Karl Anthony Towns, I'd imagine Mitch Johnson will have Wemby switch on to the big, so there's not much of a mismatch where he can score and pass out of the double team, which gives the Knicks such an advantage on offense that they'll run the score up.
I think the X factor that's going to determine this series are the battle of the benches, right? Like between Spurs and OKC. When you look at Spurs, you're talking about Dylan Harper, who had some fantastic moments throughout this postseason, Keldon Johnson. And then when you look at the Knicks, you're talking about Landry Shamet, Mitchell Robinson, McBride, all of those guys. And look, right there, this is the bench scoring this postseason between the two, and it's pretty much even. So it's something because, you know, like, we at the rodeo, right? We at the rodeo, and I'm looking at those 2 Bulls in particular, Landry Shamet and Dylan Harper. Who's going to win that battle?
You can see.
You like that, huh, Wendy?
This is the first glimpse we've gotten of Mitchell Robinson since Shams reported that pinky injury. You can see he's wearing a pretty heavy brace there on that right hand.